everybody, David Schuster here. You know that old saying, liar, liar, pants on fire? Well, in just one brief appearance in front of the cameras, Donald Trump was a raging inferno. At the Kennedy Center to see a show, Trump claimed the police chief of Los Angeles asked for federal help in the face of the protests against ICE, and Trump also insisted the federal help saved the city.
We weren't there if we didn't bring in the National Guard and the Marines. You would probably have a city that was burning to the ground, just like it was a number of months ago with the housing. You would have had a big problem there. We weren't. In fact, the police chief said so much. If you look at what his statements were, he said, we're very lucky to have had that.
The city would be burning to the ground right now, said Trump, and the police chief asked for militarized troops. It is all preposterous. But don't take my word for it. The Los Angeles police chief appeared on CNN and was asked about Trump's claims that the city would still be burning and that the chief asked for federal help.
Is that how you would characterize your statements, sir?
No, we were not in a position to request the National Guard. We have a protocol that we work up through. First, we bring in all internal resources to bear on the issue, whatever it is. Then we mobilize the department or part of the department to be able to get everybody out there dealing with the issue. If we don't have the capacity at that point to be able to do that, then through the sheriff, we request mutual aid, and we get our law enforcement partners from police departments and sheriff's department throughout the Southern California region to assist us in doing what it is we need to do. We're at that level now, and we're nowhere near a level where we would be reaching out to the governor for National Guard at this stage.
Now, you could describe the police chief as pushing back at Trump's claims, or you could say the chief pointed out that Donald Trump is a liar. In any case, moments later, in front of the same group of cameras and microphones at the Kennedy Center, Trump denied reality in the face of a question by Fox News. By all accounts, including Fox, the demonstrations against migrant deportations are growing. And when Fox correspondent Jillian Turner asked Trump about the trend, Trump responded by telling her flat out he didn't believe her. Watch.
Mr. President, if this turns into another summer of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread now to 16 cities across the U.S. If this turns in...
That's what you're saying. Do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that from the Fox News brain room.
What we have is a situation in Los Angeles that was caused by gross incompetence. They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in. They were very late. We had to go in to save a lot of ICE officers, as you know, who were held up. They were holed up in a building.
4 lies in 35 seconds. The ICE officers were held up in a building and needed troops to save them. Nope. The police were asking Trump for federal troops to come in. The police chief says that's false. The clashes were caused by gross incompetence of Democratic city and state leaders. No. The clashes began when Donald Trump's ICE agents, without warrants, grabbed groups of migrants outside of a Home Depot. And on the reports of demonstrations spreading across the country, Trump said to Fox News, "I don't believe you, I don't think so." Now, to be fair, Trump may be telling the truth when he says he doesn't believe Fox and doesn't think the protests are spreading. What Trump believes is what he believes. But Trump's view is contradicted by basic facts. And none of this is a close call. So why is Donald Trump lying so frequently and brazenly? Perhaps this is strategic. You see, if Donald Trump were to admit that protests are spreading to other cities, that admission would undercut his contention that clashes are the fault of Democratic city and state leaders. In fact, the reason so many people are upset is because the ICE raids have become increasingly aggressive, sloppy, and without due process. And the fact is, you can now find in dozens of cities and states examples of ICE conducting raids without warrants, arresting people at courthouse asylum hearings, grabbing kids and parents at schools, tearing families apart, and making no distinction between people who have lived in the United States peacefully for years and those who have a violent criminal gang record. If somebody speaks Spanish and has a tattoo that ICE doesn't like or recognize, that person may be arrested. And ICE officers have arrested countless people who are American citizens. Back at the Kennedy Center, when Trump walked away from the cameras and microphones and entered the concert hall, this was the reception. jeers, and a few chants of USA, USA. As for the show itself, Donald Trump and many of his staff took in the musical Les Mis. It's based on the classic French historical novel by Victor Hugo. The story is about a country rising up against the injustice of a tyrannical king. In other words, on top of Trump being a habitual liar, he is also clueless. And Trump keeps getting worse. By the way, Donald Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, herself just took hypocrisy and irony to unprecedented levels.
These attacks were aimed not just at law enforcement, but at American culture and society itself. Rioters burned American flags, chanted, and spray-painted anti-American slogans on buildings. But President Trump will never allow mob rule to prevail in America.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
The most basic duty of government is to preserve law and order, and this administration embraces that sacred responsibility.
He has just returned to the White House and is signing a series of executive actions in the Oval Office, where he is pardoning some 1,500 January 6 rioters who have been convicted.
Approximately 1,500 for a pardon. Yes. Full pardon.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.